Alright, so I had to pull down the original video and re-upload this one because there was a lot of concerns in the comment section, and I just got to put a disclaimer in the beginning. The testing I'm about to perform is done as safely as possible. I've took as many safety precautions as I could possibly think of, but still kept the test realistic. Yes, I know I chose to do it in a certain style. I'm not telling you a firearm should or should not be used in a particular manner or suggesting you should do something with your firearm. I just chose to do it in that particular style for entertainment value. Anyway, enjoy the video. Today I would like to introduce you to Sasha. This particular AKM I have on loan. It was purchased somewhere around 2013, and the guy actually takes very good care of it. And it's not like you don't use it. I've personally dumped a couple of mags through it. We've taken it hunting in the marsh. It gets its work out. He just takes really good care of his firearms. He's polished all the internals, deburred them, polished the bolt, replaced the front sight, I believe. I can't remember with what brand. It does have night sights on it. Put on the pistol brace, a single point sling attachment. So let's do some testing with it. Now, I know what you're thinking. I should have also done the test in reverse and went out the passenger window, and I should have not stopped. I should have just drove straight through when I did the test, but my shooting lane is quite narrow, so I had to stop. It was the only way I could do it safely, and I don't want to do them out of the passenger window yet because, well, in an emergency, it wouldn't matter. I just shoot through the door, shoot through the glass, do whatever I have to do to get rounds into what I need to get rounds into. But because we're just testing, I'm not going to take the risk of having some sort of mess up and punch a hole through my door. I don't know if my auto insurance covers firearm damage. So what do we learn from the test? One, this stock should really fold. As you'll notice, I went over the shoulder to clear the steering wheel. And it would have been nice if this would have folded up because then I could have just went in between my chest. The other one, without this stock folding, it doesn't sit on the passenger seat real well. Now, don't get me wrong, this conversion was like 2013, so they probably didn't have a lot of stock options. So, I mean, it works, but this kind of looks, I shouldn't even say stock, pistol brace options. It works, but it looks really AR-15-y, AR-15-ish. So it kind of ruins the look of it. I would do something that is collapsible. Now, I wouldn't want some sort of button release. I just want it to retain and then release just with pressure. This way, if I am bringing it across my chest, I could bring it across my chest, grab the stock, pull it out, and then go to work. Because that's where these excel, are vehicle guns, for a couple of different reasons. One, this is classified as a pistol. Yes, there are going to be some cops that are going to be like, well, I feel, and a lot of people would feel that would be a rifle, so your CCW shouldn't cover that. Just tell them, are you an officer of the law, or are you an officer of feelings? The governing body classifies this as a pistol. This is a pistol, according to the ATF. So the law says I can carry a loaded pistol on me with my concealed carry. So that makes this able to have loaded inside your car. Now, in Wisconsin, the definition of loaded is a loaded magazine in the firearm. It doesn't matter if your magazine's loaded and out of the firearm in Wisconsin, or that's how the law is interpreted anyway. That's an unloaded firearm, but once you insert the magazine, that is a loaded firearm. So in Wisconsin, with our concealed carry, we could have this loaded, that's including a round in the chamber, in our car. And if this had a folding stock, this would have sat on my seat perfectly, but right now it's just too wide. It won't sit on the seat. And if it's going to be a car gun, I'd like to be able to fold it up and shove it under the seat when I'm not driving or something like that. For CQB, no, I would probably pick something different. I don't know what I'd pick, but I don't think I would go with this. But as a car gun, this would be ideal. Now you're probably like, well, what about the reduced muzzle velocity of the 10.5-inch barrel?
Temporary wound cavity, as we expand and recover from, is different when projectiles hit at greater than 2,200 feet a second. At that point, it appears we have surpassed the elasticity capability of human tissue, and that temporary wound cavity begins tearing at its limits and margins and becomes the permanent wound cavity.
Muzzle velocity matters at one point. That would be 2,200 feet per second. Hell, if you want, you can call it 2,100 feet per second. An AK, even with a 16-inch barrel, loses that muzzle velocity at like 50 yards. An AK is up close and personal if you want the real damage. Otherwise, you're just using crushing power of the bullet. You don't get that hydro shock tearing and ripping effect.
Which also is the conclusion why people who are center punched with rifle projectiles typically succumb much quicker than people who are hit with handgun projectiles. The byproduct of that also seems that when a rifle projectile at those velocities bypasses an organ, you will still have organic damage, whereas a handgun projectile needs to directly hit a vital organ to do organic damage.
So after about 50 yards, even with a 16-inch barrel, an AK is still performing just like a Magnum pistol. So, holy crap, for the first 50 yards, a 16-inch barrel would perform better than this. After about 50 yards, it really don't matter anymore. That's why if I'm going to do short barrel, 7.62 by 39 is an excellent option because it doesn't really matter. No matter what, that cartridge just doesn't do that well. That's why they ditched the 7.62 by 39 and went with 5.45. So like, oh crap, our cartridge kind of sucks. But in a short barrel, it's okay because it's heavy enough and it's got enough kinetic energy. Even without the muzzle velocity, it still does okay. Now you take like a 5.56 and you start chopping the barrel shorter, it gets exponentially worse. Every little bit you take off the barrel. With 5.56, barrel length matters. So if I'm going to do a short barrel rifle, it's either probably going to be in 300 blackout or 7.62 by 39. Again, like I said, this would have to have a folding stock for I believe it would have to have a folding stock for it to perform the job it's meant to do really, really well. And not to mention, like I said, this looks AR-15. I'd want some sort of triangle, something that looks right on the gun and that can fold. That I can still shoot even from a folded position. We're going to do some more testing. We'll get into accuracy and stuff, but I don't really understand what's going on with the sights yet. I got to figure that out before I try doing accuracy testing because at two different positions in the rear, which, okay, that's most likely range. But now I got a second position in the front. I don't know what the hell is going on with that. Why? Because it doesn't appear to give me any more elevation or anything. If it does, it's barely any. And it's rounded. Maybe this is just a sight cover to like protect the front sight, possibly. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with the front sight. I'm not 100% what's going on with the back sight, so I got to do a little bit of research and figure that out before I try it. It's probably not going to have the best accuracy. But again, who really cares? That's not the purpose of this. As long as it's got better than like 10 MOA, I think it'll do the job just fine. Again, a car gun, close range. If you're shooting from your car, the threat is obviously way too close for you to get out of your car, which, as long as it's within 10 MOA, this should do it just fine. Now, if it's farther out, then you have time to go to your trunk and get your real rifle. Would I buy this right now with the testing I've already done? I mean, I guess if I want to go 7.62 by 39, I myself would probably do something more like the Honey Badger, like 300 blackout, but this is a really nice rifle. I'm also concerned about the accuracy because it's on the rear cover. The rear cover's got slop, but again, it doesn't really matter as long as it's better than like 10 MOA, you're good to go. Because even with the cover shut, it still wiggles a little bit. And a little bit back here is a lot of bit down there. Anyway, thank you for watching.